Hello everyone. It is Saturday, day before Easter, and I'm getting ready to paint some vinyl. I think what I'm going to do right now, well, first let me explain what I am doing is I have one baby in the oven, and then I just gave all of these a real quick pale matte flesh wash. All different colors. I kind of thought that I was just going to neutralize them and make them all the same color so that I, could kind of paint them mostly the same. I think this batch is going to be a little bit on the pale side. And here is my pale wash. This isn't the white wash. I really want to take a kit down and take out any of the gray or the pink or the peach. That's the one I'll use, and I'll use like 3 coats of that. But these kits are all really nice kits. They don't need it. Their colors are different, but none of the colors are weird or bad. I mean, here's Mick. He's kind of peachy. Here's Priscilla. She's got a little gray going on, but I kind of like painting those babies. Yeah, so I gave everybody just a little bit of a matte flesh. That is baby skin, a tiny bit of burnt umber, a little bit of titanium white. I couldn't even tell you how much. Again, it's very instinctual. A lot of paint thinner. Right now I'm using Gamasol because I'm just using up whatever I have in my studio. I sometimes have Mona Lisa, I have Gamasol, I have something, I have like some stuff made with lavender and some stuff made with oranges. I didn't have great success with that. And even though I got rid of kind of that toxic fume stuff from using paint thinners, I traded it for something that was equally noxious, and it was just too strong a smell for me. It was giving me a headache. I'm using the Gamasol that I have because, as you know, well, where I'm at, Michael's and Hobby Lobby and any place else that would sell this type of thinner is closed. So I have to be very, 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 very careful about not wasting that because I don't have a heck of a lot left. But that will last me a while. So I have 1 baby out of the oven, 1 baby in the oven, and 4 babies here. This is ultramarine blue. I never use this on its own, just use it to add color to other things. Phthalo blue, again, wouldn't use that on its own, but it's good to make bluey stuff happen in other things. Some green. What do we have? I hope I have something mixed up. These are my veins. This is my vein color, and it's just straight out of Bountiful Babies vein jar. I use that. And here I have a little bit of this. I don't know what color I would call that, but it's a little darker than Periwinkle. It's more blue. It doesn't have as much red in it to make it a little purpley. But I think I'm going to do a little bit of shading with that. There's only a little bit left. Oh my gosh. I mean, there's still some in the bottle, but... And what am I going to need? I'm going to need a sponge. And this is the jar that has all the blue brushes in it. Because what happens is with red and blue and yellow, the pigment stains the brushes for one, and no matter how much I clean them, a little bit of that pigment gets locked in those fibers, and sometimes it'll come out and might turn my yellows a little green, it might turn my blue a little purple, it might turn my red a little blue. So I'm just, trying to make sure my brushes get more life. So I have this little container. All it is the paint thinner, the same stuff I use to thin out paint. And you can see there's sediment here on the bottom. That's the paint that came out of the brushes. So I can use this over and over again. I don't have to use it and toss it. I just don't mix up the gunk on the bottom. I let it settle, and I'll dip them in there and then wipe them on the paper towel until they're nice and clean. And it lasts a while. So the brushes I have currently, they are not pretty, I'm telling you. It's time to replace some of them, but right now I'll just keep using them until they're not good anymore. I don't like wasting stuff. Let's take a look at this. Oh my goodness. I was mixing on that lid. I use my lids as a palette a lot. And that's okay because I kind of like that red, and I think I might play with that a little bit. Let me see. Let's get a little bit of this juicy blue out of here, and I'll mix it in this lid with this red. Well, it's not really red, it's like a mauve. Do you remember that color from like the late 80s, early 90s? Oh my God. I think I may have told this story. And you know what happens? Sometimes you forget who you told stories to. So if I'm repeating a story, I apologize. But the first real house we ever bought, the people who originally owned it loved that color. It's like a dusty rose mauve purpley color. It was like a really popular color at that time. And the blinds were all that color, and the wall-to-wall carpet was all that color, and the vanity in the kitchen sink was that color. Oh my gosh, I hated it. And there was nothing I could do to like pretend it wasn't there. And we were young and didn't have a ton of money, so it's not like we could say, let's rip out these carpets and put in new blinds. You know, we were happy to have a house that had nice carpet and blinds. So we just kind of had to get past that color. And I think I tried to tone it down and ended up we bought a gray couch and that kind of thing. You know, we just tried to find something that would complement the color and not make it seem so awful. It was so terrible. When I see pictures of that house, I always think, oh, it's so gross. But when my son sees it, he's like, that is so cool. And I'm like, what do you mean that's so cool, so hideous? But I guess that, you know, late 80s, early 90s palette is back, and these youngsters who didn't have to live with those colors think it's pretty awesome. I happen to not. Given a little blue tinge to those feet, and I think I said before, I'm not going to do a tutorial. I'm just going to sit here and paint, but I don't mind kind of just talking about what I'm doing as I go, just in case there's somebody watching who wants to learn, or I'm doing something that's different than what you already know, which probably not. I mean, we all kind of do this the same way, maybe in a different order or with a color that isn't exactly the same, but I think we're all doing basically the same thing. I like to take my time doing this part because blue is such a strong color and it really stains the vinyl. You know, you've probably heard it a million times. You can always go back and add more blue, but you can't do a magic trick and make it go away. Kind of like the mauve carpet in that house I lived in. You can just dress up things around it and hope nobody sees it, but it will stay blue. I think that's the frustrating thing about painting, silicone even more so. You have to be super patient, you know. You have to do things in a subtle way and just wait for things to build and see how they're going to turn out. And really, you know, when we're painting or coloring, you know, we're used to having like this immediate result. And with this, it's just, not only do you have to be patient, but you have to cross your fingers that you chose to do the right thing and you did it in the right amounts and in the right order. Again, I don't think you can really make a mistake. If you get a baby that's so blue, turn it into an Avatar or a Smurf baby or something, you know. And I know that I drop Bean's name a lot. She has the Twisted Beanstalk. If you like alternative babies, you need to go check her out. I mean, everybody knows who she is, and you probably already do. And she has a really cool channel, and I was watching her today. She's just kooky. I love her. But, you know, there are some people that I like for different reasons, you know. I think one of the things that I appreciate about her is she's just herself. And she's silly, and she's positive. She's just a really positive, happy person. I mean, even if she's like complaining about something, she does it in such a playful way. And I really appreciate that. I wish I was more like that. I'm not. I'm cranky. I'm just not as positive. I get annoyed by things super easily. I'm okay with saying, ouch, I was wrong, but for the most part, I'm super, super opinionated and stuck in my ways. I think it runs in my family. I like things the way I like them. I guess everybody does, but some people are more prone to, to kind of go with the flow. Like, it's not perfect, but it's okay, or that didn't turn out the way I thought, but you know what, I'm going to enjoy myself anyway. I hate standing in line. Oh my gosh, I don't know what it is, but if I go to a restaurant and there's a line to wait and you have to get your name on a list, I'll just go someplace else. I have yet to go to a restaurant that I loved the food so much that I would just stand around and wait for a table. I know that's terrible, but nope, 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 nope. Doesn't make sense to me. Life's too short. I don't want to stand in line. I know that's like proof that I have some personality flaw or something. I'm okay with that. I'll own it. So there we go. And I don't shade this much blue on every baby, but this baby is going to be exceptionally pale. Well, at least for the way I paint. I don't usually do pale babies. And so I want to like a lot of light blue undertones. I want it to look a little Icelandic, You've seen babies like that are just so porcelain fair. I don't know if I'm going to get that at the end, but that's the direction I'm going. I may have to switch gears later, but I will when I get there. That is freeway noise. I have the windows open. We live not that far from a freeway, and it's usually very, very noisy. Everybody here has to have like double paned argon glass windows just to keep that noise out. And the traffic usually starts at about 4:45 in the morning, and that's what usually wakes me up as I hear that traffic starting. But since the quarantine, it has been really, really light and almost eerily quiet. But I noticed yesterday it's picking back up again. And I think people are just have had enough with this quarantine business, and they're getting out and doing what they got to do. Hopefully it's not too many people, and hopefully it's people who have to, but I don't know. I want to be out of quarantine just as much, or not quarantine, but isolation, lockdown, shelter in place, whatever you want to call it. I want to be out just like everybody else, but I also don't want to be sick, and I also don't want any more people to die. California is doing okay. I think we were the first state to lock down, and I think it has served us. I think there are people who, like to feed into whole conspiracy theory type things and say, oh, it was never really that bad. It was just overhype, and we just, didn't have to do all this. And then, they'll use this as the proof. And I don't know, for me, and I probably shouldn't be talking about this stuff. It's a little more political than I need to be, but to me, it's just like people who say, polio vaccine, we don't need a polio vaccine. You see anybody, have you ever known anybody with polio? And then you say, well, that's because of the vaccine, and, I don't know. Everybody's going to feel what they want to feel and do what they want to do. I can't change it. I'm just going to try to keep my family safe. I would rather wake up tomorrow and say, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, than to wake up tomorrow and say, I wish I would have listened. I wish we would have done more. A pet peeve of mine, since I'm on this subject, and I probably shouldn't talk about it, but I will. Right now, it's just kind of misinformation. And I'm saying it just because I actually was part of that for a minute or two. Someone had sent this email to me saying, I just want to let you know, I know somebody who knows somebody, and the grocery stores are going to be closing in the next couple of weeks. If you need things, you better go out and get them now. And the person who sent that to me, I did know personally. But the person who sent it to them, they did not know personally. And it was not true. The grocery stores were never going to close. We still have not. The hoarding did happen, but I think the hoarding happened because of that disinformation and fear. And there were a lot of people propagating it, and so it made it worse.